The South China Sea is a vast and strategically vital body of water, stretching over 3.5 million square kilometers. It is one of the most significant maritime regions in the world. It is located in Southeast Asia, surrounded by several countries, each with its own interests and claims. These include China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Brunei. Each of these nations has a stake in the sea's resources and strategic routes. The sea is incredibly important for global trade, acting as a major conduit for the movement of goods. It sees trillions of dollars worth of goods passing through its shipping lanes every year, making it one of the busiest maritime areas globally. This makes it a crucial artery of the global economy, connecting the economies of East Asia with the rest of the world. Beyond its economic significance, the South China Sea holds immense natural resources, which are vital for the energy security of the surrounding nations. Large reserves of oil and natural gas lie beneath the seabed, promising substantial economic benefits for those who can access them. These resources are a source of tension, as multiple countries lay claim to overlapping areas. Many countries in the region rely on them for their energy needs, making control over these resources a matter of national interest. The sea is also teeming with fish stocks, providing a rich source of food and income. Fishing is a major industry for many Southeast Asian nations, supporting millions of livelihoods. The combination of energy resources and fishing grounds makes the South China Sea a vital source of livelihood for the coastal populations. Coastal communities depend on the sea for their economic survival, relying on both fishing and energy extraction. However, the abundance of resources has also led to competition, as nations vie for control over these valuable assets. Countries are vying for control over these valuable assets, leading to increased military presence and patrols. This competition has led to overlapping territorial claims and maritime disputes, with each nation asserting its rights over different parts of the sea. The South China Sea is now a focal point of geopolitical tensions, with the potential for conflict always looming. Countries are strengthening their naval presence and engaging in military exercises, showcasing their power and readiness to defend their claims. The stakes are high, with potential implications for regional stability and global security. The outcome of these disputes could reshape the geopolitical landscape of Southeast Asia and beyond. The territorial disputes in the South China Sea have deep historical roots. For centuries, China has claimed sovereignty over most of the sea. This claim is based on historical maps and documents. These documents show Chinese fishermen and traders using the area for centuries. China argues that these activities establish a historical basis for its claims. However, other countries in the region contest China's historical claims. Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Brunei have their own historical narratives. They point to their own historical usage and presence in the area. These countries argue that China's claims are excessive and infringe on their own sovereign rights. The dispute intensified in the 20th century with the discovery of oil and gas reserves. The potential economic benefits of these resources raised the stakes. Countries became more assertive in their claims. They began to establish a physical presence on islands and reefs. The situation further escalated with the adoption of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, in 1982. UNCLOS establishes a framework for maritime zones. These zones include territorial waters, exclusive economic zones, EEZs, and continental shelves. Each zone grants countries different rights and responsibilities. In recent years, China has become increasingly assertive in its claims in the South China Sea. This vast body of water, rich in resources and strategic importance, has been a focal point of geopolitical tension. China has been rapidly expanding its naval and coast guard presence, deploying more ships and increasing patrols. This expansion is part of a broader strategy to project power and secure its interests in the region. It has also been constructing artificial islands and military outposts on disputed reefs. These man-made structures are equipped with airstrips, radar systems, and missile installations, transforming them into formidable military bases. China's actions have heightened tensions in the region, leading to frequent confrontations with other claimant countries. The aggressive stance has not only alarmed neighbouring nations, but also drawn international scrutiny. Neighbouring countries view these actions as a threat to their own security and interests. Nations like Vietnam, the Philippines, and Malaysia have voiced strong objections, fearing the loss of their territorial waters and economic zones. They fear that China is trying to establish de facto control over the South China Sea, which would give it significant leverage over one of the world's busiest maritime trade routes. This has led to increased military spending and closer defense ties between Southeast Asian nations and external powers like the United States. Countries are bolstering their naval capabilities and seeking alliances to counterbalance China's influence. One of the most contentious aspects of China's actions is its use of a 9-dash line to demarcate its claims. This line, which appears on Chinese maps, is a sweeping boundary that covers almost the entire South China Sea. This line encompasses most of the South China Sea, cutting into the exclusive economic zones, EEZs, of several other countries. The 9-dash line is a source of major disputes and has been a flashpoint in regional diplomacy. It overlaps with the EEZs of several other countries, including Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Brunei. These overlapping claims have led to numerous diplomatic protests and legal challenges. China argues that this line is based on historical precedent, citing ancient maps and records to justify its claims. Beijing maintains that it has historical rights to these waters, dating back centuries. However, the international community largely rejects this claim as having no legal basis under UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. An international tribunal in 2016 ruled against China's claims, stating they had no legal standing. China's assertive actions have been met with condemnation from the international community. Many countries have called for China to respect international law and resolve disputes through peaceful means. The United States in particular has been vocal in its opposition to China's behavior. Washington has repeatedly criticized Beijing's actions and called for freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. The US Navy has conducted freedom of navigation operations, FONOPs, in the South China Sea. These operations involve sailing warships close to the disputed islands to challenge China's maritime claims. These operations challenge China's excessive maritime claims and demonstrate the US commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific region. The US aims to ensure that international waters remain open and accessible to all nations, upholding the principles of international law. China's assertive actions in the South China Sea have not gone unanswered. The region has seen a flurry of activity as neighbouring countries respond to China's growing influence and territorial claims. Countries in the region have taken significant steps to protect their interests and counter China's expanding footprint. This includes not only military measures, but also diplomatic and economic strategies. These steps include strengthening their own militaries, forging closer defense partnerships, and pursuing diplomatic solutions. Joint military exercises have become more frequent, and defense budgets have seen substantial increases. Vietnam, which has a long history of maritime disputes with China, has been particularly active in modernizing its navy and expanding its maritime capabilities. The country has invested heavily in new ships, submarines, and coastal defense systems. The Philippines, despite its previous close ties with China, has also taken a more assertive stance in recent years. The country has increased its naval patrols and has been vocal in international forums about its territorial rights. It has challenged China's claims through international arbitration and strengthened its defense ties with the United States. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA, with the US, has allowed for greater American military presence in the Philippines. Other Southeast Asian nations such as Malaysia and Indonesia have also expressed concerns over China's actions. These countries have been vocal about their rights under international law and have taken steps to bolster their maritime security. They have called for a peaceful resolution to the disputes based on international law. The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, has been a cornerstone of their arguments against China's expansive claims. These countries are wary of being caught in the middle of a great power rivalry between China and the United States. They are carefully navigating their foreign policies to avoid alienating either side while protecting their own national interests. They are seeking to balance their economic ties with China while also safeguarding their own sovereignty and security. Trade with China is crucial for their economies, but they are also diversifying their economic partnerships to reduce dependency. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, a regional bloc of 10 Southeast Asian countries, has played a key role in trying to manage tensions in the South China Sea. ASEAN's collective voice has been instrumental in advocating for a rules-based order in the region. ASEAN has been engaged in negotiations with China to establish a Code of Conduct, COC, for the South China Sea. These negotiations have been ongoing for years, reflecting the complexity and sensitivity of the issues at hand. The COC aims to establish guidelines for maritime activities and prevent misunderstandings and miscalculations that could lead to conflict. It is seen as a critical step towards ensuring stability and peace in one of the world's most strategically important waterways. Beyond military and diplomatic efforts, economic forums in the region have also been addressing the impact of South China Sea tensions on trade and investment. Ensuring the free flow of commerce through these waters is vital for the global economy. Local communities in Southeast Asia are also feeling the effects of these maritime disputes. Fishing communities in particular have faced challenges due to restricted access to traditional fishing grounds and increased maritime security measures. Environmental concerns have also been raised, as increased military activities and construction in the South China Sea threaten the delicate marine ecosystems. Efforts to address these environmental impacts are becoming an important part of the regional dialogue. As the situation continues to evolve, regional leaders are constantly discussing future strategies to ensure peace and stability in the South China Sea. The path forward will require a delicate balance of diplomacy, defense, and economic cooperation. The world must find a way to balance the competing interests of all parties involved and ensure that this vital waterway remains open and accessible to all. Like this video, subscribe for more in-depth analysis on global conflicts, and let us know in the comments what you think about the future of the South China Sea. Can this dispute be resolved peacefully? What role should the international community play?